Here we have the current stock market update for NIO Incorporated, stock ticker NIO. Before we begin with today's chart analysis, if you find this educational material to be helpful in your trading, please remember to click the like and subscribe buttons and leave your thoughts in the comments section below so that other traders will be able to find this information more easily on the platform. So here we have the hourly price chart, and we can see that there are some fairly significant price movements that have occurred over the last few trading sessions. So in this video, what we're going to be doing is looking at some of these price zones, explaining why they're important, and developing a strong trading strategy so that investors can turn profits on this stock in the days and weeks ahead. So as we are currently looking at share price action, we can see that the near-term high posted at $4.20. Overall, this is quite significant because what this essentially tells us is that this prior double top resistance high, which was formed right around the $4.15 level, has now been broken to the top side. However, at the same time, there is a bit of caution that is warranted here, given the fact that this upside price movement was ultimately defined by a very strong bearish price candle that did focus prices back in the downward direction. So as we can see here, there was a major price gap upward, but then share prices were really not able to maintain this price high for very long. And we did see a very long-bodied candlestick formation that did ultimately form after that price break was established. So as we can see here, these near-term lows have broken back into this gapping formation. So currently we're looking at near-term lows coming in at $4.01. And this does leave a bit of a price gap here that will ultimately need to be filled at some point in order for the share price action to continue progressing normally. Proceeding normally. So we will need to see these buy and sell orders that are filled in this area first before we can expect to create a true bounce from here. So ultimately what I would be looking at if I was trading this stock would be a price bounce off of sort of the bottom of this exponential moving average cluster. So essentially, if we look at these moving averages here, we can see that share prices could move all the way down into the lower end of this band before we would then fill this prior price gap. And this could create enough of a support zone that would allow share prices to continue moving higher in the upward direction following this fairly major price break on the shorter term timeframes. So overall, this is a positive movement, but there are some reasons to be cautious here because we do need to sort of see this price gap filled. And then we do have to contend with the fact that this upward price movement did create a very long-bodied candle on the hourly price chart. Overall, I wouldn't be very concerned about this stock unless we were to see significant breaks below this roughly 395 level, because then we could see another retest of the prior support zone that was formed right around the $3.70 mark. This is another very important level to the downside because this rests roughly 10 cents above the main level of support for this stock, which is currently found at $3.60. Ultimately, if this level did break to the downside, I do think that we could be in store for an extended period of decline, because this would then ultimately suggest that the main long-term support zones for this stock have now been broken to the downside. So essentially, this region of support goes all the way back to roughly the middle of April 2024, and we can see that when this area was initially tested, we saw some fairly significant price movements into the upward direction. So the initial time the 360 level was breached or tested, we could see share prices move all the way into the $6 mark, which is an incredibly strong move higher. It's almost a doubling of the share price. So this occurred in a relatively short period of time, and this does suggest that this $3.60 level is a very critical level to watch going forward. Recent price bounces from that area have not been as strong, as we can see here. This recent price movement out of $3.63 only resulted in price highs coming in at $4.17. So there is a bit of caution here, because the real question at this point with this stock is whether or not we're starting to form a long-term bottom. Anybody that's held this stock for any real length of time is well aware of the fact that the major trend here has been in the downward direction. So what we're really asking ourselves at this point, if we are long this stock, the main question here is whether or not this $3.60 level does mark a reversal point. Is this the true bottom for the stock, or do we expect to see share prices move lower? In the comment section, I have seen several people suggest that $1 would be the ultimate price low. That would be a fairly excessive move from here if that turned out to be true. As things currently stand, the question is whether or not this $3.63 level will currently break. And I would like to know what people's thoughts are about that in the comment section. Do we still believe that this $3.60 level remains viable, valid support, or are we en route here to another break to the downside, given the fact that share price movements have been, have bounced less significantly in recent situations where those price levels have been tested? So there are some real questions here. And if we are able to find a bottom, what this would suggest would be that the share price itself currently would be an attractive buy, given the fact that we're trading near long-term support levels, and there really isn't much room here to extend to the downside. That's not really the case with many stocks. If you look at like a GameStop, for example, that's a stock that is trading at roughly 23.50 at the moment, and there's a significant amount of downside potential that's still possible relative to current levels. We can't really say the same thing for NIO, even though a lot of the sentiment here has been negative. But the overall picture to the downside and the potential for further price movements to the downside have become less and less. They become more limited, I should say. As time goes forward, there's less and less room to the downside for the stock to continue moving lower. So all of these are important factors to watch. And I do think that if we see a break above this $4.20 level, you could start to see a bit of resistance at the 618 retracement of this declining move from $4.61. This currently rests right around the $4.24 mark. But if we were to break above here, then the most likely scenario would be a retest of that $4.61 mark. A break above there really puts $5 per share in the crosshairs as far as an upside target would be concerned. And then if we really if we do see a convincing break above that $5 mark, I think it then becomes much easier to suggest that there is a long-term bottom in place and that this $3.63 support zone will continue to remain valid and viable going forward. So here's the current market analysis for NIO Incorporated, stock ticker NIO. Our high value trading strategies membership is currently available for a limited time for only $9.99 per month. These high conviction investment strategies are characterized by superior risk to reward metrics that target massive market beating returns over time. Join now to outperform the market. Lock in this special introductory rate of just $9.99 per month for the entire lifetime of your membership and start trading stocks with the pros.